this is from all over the world, which is important to note. And I would like to emphasize the global nature of this events. Ours is also an international event designed to promote exchange of views and opinions. Ukraine and local governments in Ukraine have been in the lead of this process. I am moderating today's event, and as the moderator or a moderator, I would like to say hello to everyone who is online attending this meeting. With this, over to Secretary General Matthew Morey. Matthew, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Alexander, for giving me the floor and for allowing me to speak today. Dear State Secretary Yarema, dear Mr. Bormann, dear Ms. Litvinenko, cher Olena, dear mayors, and if you allow me, dear friends. It's my pleasure to greet you online today on behalf of the Council of Europe, Congress of Local and Regional Authorities. Allow me to start by congratulating you all for the extraordinary work you are carrying out in your duties. The Congress promotes open government principles in its work. It remains a cornerstone for the implementation of our strategic priorities, and it is our aspiration to strengthen links and trust between all levels of government and citizens. 3 weeks ago, during my last mission to Ukraine, I was privileged to witness firsthand such examples of the way you engage with civil society and your constituencies in these difficult times for their well-being. Your committed and hard work are commendable. Allow me to use a moment to express our appreciation to the Cabinet of Ministers for our cooperation, which is vital to overcoming current and future challenges. A special gratitude, of course, goes to the Association of Ukrainian Cities for the close cooperation with the Congress over so many years and for your outstanding efforts and support provided to local authorities during the dire circumstances of war. The commitment of the Cabinet of Ministers and the AUC towards enhancing local self-government and embedding open government principles at the local level has proven to be key for local communities' resilience and for citizens' trust in local public institutions. Ukrainian local authorities are proven leaders in the application of the principles of open government, along with those of the European Charter of Local Self-Government. The Congress has been advocating for strengthening these principles for many years, as well as for collaboration and co-creation between national and local levels. This can be seen in our work with local elected representatives as leaders for change and with young local leaders through the Be Open tool, the public ethics booklets, which are available in Ukrainian, among many other initiatives. We are also proud that we contributed to the establishment of the Platform for National-Local Dialogue on Open Government, which nurtures the culture of consultation, and more importantly, joint decision-making creates a sense of belonging, of being part of a common endeavor of the same national community of one country. This approach was instrumental in Ukraine's 10-year journey as a champion member in the Open Government Partnership and a leader in localizing open government principles, the progress that has been tragically deviated but not interrupted by war. Ladies and gentlemen, Today, we are gathered for the fourth time under the Open Gov Week to share ideas, discuss solutions, get inspiration from practices from peer local authorities, and strive for reforms. We are keen to hear how Ukrainian local reformers continue to live by and fight for the principles of open government in this extraordinary context. Local authorities that creatively develop and implement open local initiatives and strategies effectively contribute to strengthening the overall democratic system. They deserve recognition on national and also on European and global level. This has led the AUC and the Congress to launch the call to identify best stories of resilience and cooperation in communities during the war, namely to identify leaders in the areas of social cohesion and inclusion, digital governance, and youth engagement. And I would like to praise and congratulate the municipalities that today will be awarded for their best practices. Local open government and public ethics are a cornerstone for Ukraine's recovery period. We are certain that the 6th National OGP Action Plan for Ukraine will include priorities proposed by local authorities through the AUC and thus ensure and maintain their meaningful involvement in the design and implementation of national commitments to OGP. Ladies and gentlemen, next week I will be participating in the 4th Council of Europe Summit of Heads of State and Governments, where, among other topics, member countries will establish an international register to help Ukrainian citizens, cities and oblasts report damages incurred as a consequence of the war. I believe that local and regional authorities will play a very important role in this endeavor, and the Congress will be there to support you. Moreover, we look forward to pursuing closer partnership and cooperation in the framework of the Memorandum of Understanding that was signed last October between the Congress, the OGP, and the AUC. In this view, and to further strengthen the resilience of local communities, we will encourage open government policies through dissemination of innovative practices, peer exchanges, and guidance tools. It is precisely the resilience of Ukrainian mayors, local councillors, and in general each and every citizen that allows Ukraine to resist the aggression and keep moving forward. It is precisely the resilience that will, in the nearest future we hope, be key for the reconstruction and transformation of the country. I can reassure you of the Congress' commitment and determination to be on your side in protecting democratic and European values and in building strong and open cities, towns and regions. And for this very reason, I will need to excuse myself quite quickly in order to go back to the negotiations currently happening at our Council of Europe Committee of Ministers, where discussions on Ukraine and the fundamental commitments member states will make towards Ukraine at the next week's summit is being discussed. I wish you all a very productive afternoon. Thank you very much.
Дуже дякую.
And I thank you, Matthew. Let me submit that
Захід саме в рамках проекту посилення багаторівневого врядування
our event dedicated to enhancing multi-level government and democracy in Ukraine. Indeed, we have been working for a long time with the Congress and in the Council of Europe's action plan we see tasks and objectives that we have been pursuing for many, many years. And thank you, Mr. Mori, for emphasizing how important it is to cooperate and collaborate for all levels of government. Mr. Yarema, the State Secretary of the Cabinet of Ministers of Ukraine, is today with us. In our many years of cooperation has indeed shown its instrumentality in promoting open government, those resilience stories that local governments and central governments have recently displayed with such striking persuasion. Mr. Yarema, thank you, Alexander. I cherish this opportunity to be part of you today, and on behalf of the Cabinet of Ministers, I would also like to welcome all the participants these days, and especially after the full-scale invasion of Russia. It is a tradition here to also thank our defenders, our armed forces, who make it possible for us to meet like we are meeting today. Indeed, open government initiative all over the world is holding Open Government Week, plus a lot of other events dedicated to enhancing local government and sectoral cooperation. And Ukraine, let me say, has always been an active part of this initiative and taking part in Open Government Weeks. It's good that this year, in spite of the full-scale Russian invasion, aggression against Ukraine, we hold the line and take part in this initiative. The Secretary of the Cabinet of Ministers, national and local governments, working hand in hand with their civil sector partners, international organizations, are hosting a number of events, and we are very proud to say that Ukraine is yet another time a leader in both quantity and quality of these events. I appreciate my colleagues' contribution to this fact. Well, implementation of this initiative in Ukraine is one of the best examples of cooperation between government, citizens, municipalities, businesses, in planning and implementing ambitious commitments at different levels. Once again, in spite of the full-scale invasion, we are maintaining an inclusive process of preparing the sixth plan. We have done a number of consultations with CSO, academia, young people, and we are as important, and my colleagues have already noted that today is the role and engagement of young people, of the youth in open government initiatives and partnerships. Young people are participating very actively in developing these action plans. And by the way, our next session today will also illustrate how much attention we attach to engagement of the young people. It is important, and one of the focuses of the action plans promote engagement of young people at all levels of government, and I'm sure that the forthcoming action plan will also have relevant provisions built in it. Local governments, we can feel, and the civil society, of course, is interested in promoting deliberative democracy and making plans of recovery, and it is important that these initiatives are based on open dialogue with the residents of local community. Dialogues like that demonstrate cohesion and unity and are something that makes us confident people will be playing part in the development of their communities and not leave. On a special note, Ternopil, Khmelnytsky, and Vinnytsia, who are participants in local partnerships, open government, provide inspirational examples to all of us and join this initiative as full-fledged participants. It is obvious that a nation is resilient when it engages in an open dialogue between national government, local governments, businesses, civil society, and open government partnership. OGP emphasizes the validity of this approach. Members of the armed forces, IDPs, forced migrants are interested in this forum of work. We understand how many challenges are ahead of us, and the biggest challenge, of course, is to secure a fast victory over the enemy, but as many challenges are attached to the future recovery, reintegration of citizens, and that's where our cooperation will figure very highly. Once again, I would like to say thank you to the organizers of this marathon. Best of luck and productive work to you. Thank you, Alexander. Indeed, they were very important messages. You mentioned 3 cities, 3 winners who may pride themselves on setting very good examples and best practices. And by the way, we are planning to replicate their experience in other communities. We have representatives of different types of municipalities all over Ukraine attending this meeting, and Secretary General Mori mentioned the Memorandum of Understanding that we have signed jointly. Therefore, let me now invite Rudy Borman, Deputy Director, OGP Local. The floor is yours, sir.
Thank you very much, Alexander. Sorry to call you by your name, but we feel you as a friend already of OGP. Let me say hi to Secretary Mori, to Secretary Yarema, to Ms. Livinenko, all the mayors present and colleagues on this meeting, on this marathon. This is an exciting week to see around the world the amount of events that are happening to promote open government, and we are excited to see that local governments really stepping in with more activities. As you know, OGP has been expanding their strategy for open government at the local level in the last 3 years, moving from 5 members to more than 100 members. And I'm happy to announce that this year we are also going to be expanding even further our amount of members. But of course, this is not enough. And I remember clearly one of our first conversations we had with the Association of Ukrainian Cities here in Brussels with Alexander was exactly about how can we accelerate the impact of open government. And it became clear for us that the Congress was here a key partner for us to understand how that acceleration can work. And the result of that conversation became the MOU signed last year in Rome during our regional meeting to start thinking in how can we cooperate and what capacities can we bring to associations that have the granularity and the ability to reach out local governments in a more broader way. And this is a model that we are seeing all around the world, where similar associations are trying to take these capacities to local governments to raise to the challenges that we are facing, being, of course, today the challenge of the war, the more obvious one. I wanted to also share with you that, as you might know, the Open Government Partnership has just released the new 5-year strategy. And one of the key pillars of that strategy is the doubling the efforts of our work at the local level. So this is really becoming a trend. I was 1 week ago in Denver, Colorado for the Summit of Cities, which is the local event partner of the Summit for Democracy. And we could see there the big momentum that local governments are basically leading around the world. So this is an amazing opportunity to work together and promote this initiative. We are super excited with our partnership with the association and the Congress. We are learning, but make no mistake, OGP it's ready to work together. We know how important it's going to be to have the tools and the capacities to work with different type of stakeholders at the local level for the recovery after the war. This is going to be a key element, and we need to make sure that our mayors and our local teams are capable of developing these dialogues and these capacities, either for dialogue or to face huge crises that we have ahead, like the climate crisis, housing crisis, migration issues, and others where local governments can definitely lead the way. So we are super excited to be here. Thank you again to the association and to the Congress. We feel strongly partnered with this dialogue, and we are really looking forward to put it into actions this year for more joint activities. So congratulations for the event, and happy to be here. Thank you very much.
Дуже дякую. І я хочу...
Thank you very much. And I would like to turn the floor to Olena Litvinenko, our acting head of Council of Europe office in Ukraine. I have already referred to our many years of perennial cooperation, and I have already referred to the 23-26 big charter of the Council of Europe, so to speak. Olena Litvinenko, head of the acting head of office, Council of Europe in Kiev. Thanks, Alexander. Thanks, Alexander, Marie, Mr. Bormann. I am happy to be present at this event and to represent the Council of Europe's office here. Thank you very much for the invitation to this very important, very exciting event. First of all, I would like to greet the local self-governance bodies present in this audience. offline, and there's joining online mayors, elected officials, staffers, regardless of this terrible war and the horrendous consequences and formidable challenges, they do not just continue with their everyday activities, doing their regular duty, but they open the great deeds of open governance with their innovative and sustainable approaches to governance in Ukraine. And using this opportunity, I would like to thank our reliable partner of many years now, the Association of Ukrainian Citizen Towns, the AUC, and Alexander, another Alexander. And thank you, Slobodianek, thank you for the multi-level democracy, governance, democracy, and human rights at the local level in Ukraine. That's the actual basis for this event taking place now. This is the project that is being executed by the Congress for local and regional authorities. This is a very important project, which is part and parcel of this new action plan of Council of Europe, referred to by Alexander. It is called Sustainability, Recovery and Reconstruction, the 4-year of prospects. And this is the set of guidelines for the Council of Europe to operate in Ukraine for the set period, developed in close cooperation with executive bodies, local governments, civil society. And generally speaking, it is aimed at sustainability of state institutions for local governance, rule of law, and protection of fundamental human rights. This is part of our contribution. Council of Europe, this is the process of recovery and reconstruction for the country now opposing this terrible aggression from the Russian Federation and the total devastation taking place in the occupied and territories under attack. And the Council of Europe are planning to provide their support for implementation of a set of reforms necessary from the point of view the European prospects for implementation of the decision of the European Council with the candidacy of the 23rd of June last year, constitutional justice, combating corruption, money laundering, development of independent, effective and reliable judicial system, providing for freedom of speech and freedom of the media. We have a budget of 50 million. This is the biggest ever budget for action plan in many countries, any member states, and that is, and the component, very important component of this budget is support of good governance, also reform of public administration, and also finalization, decentralization reform in Ukraine, and also will focus our efforts on adjusting the legislative framework and continue with capacity building of the local governance bodies, high quality service to be provided under conditions of war. And these are the priorities that remain for the Council of Europe, remain effective for the office and the project that supports this event. This is something regular with us. The strategic priority is providing for active function of the system of local governance in Ukraine as one of the member countries for the Council of Europe, committed to this in accordance with the Charter of Local Governance. And in order to achieve that, we intend to continue with our cooperation with the AUC, the Ukrainian cities, with the support and the Congress of the Local Authorities, Secretariat of Venice Commission, and other institutions of the Council of Europe. This event is extremely important because It makes it possible for us to learn about the experience of the smaller towns for open governance, and this is also the strategies and local policy according to local democracy and open governance, creation of new innovative services for the people, for the public, for recovery and reconstruction. We're happy that the Council of Europe and Congress of Local and Regional Authorities are providing this venue for the exchange of experience and learning from the best practices. And that requires attention not just within Ukraine, but in other countries, members of the Council, because we can see that along with the sad experience overcoming the after effects of the military aggression, it is extremely important to discuss the local experience, implementation of reforms, the experience that also provides for key reforms in development of democracy, and that should lead in the future to European integration for Ukraine. This military aggression has become a great challenge and test for invincibility of many Ukrainian people and municipalities. All the eyes of the international community, the European communities, are on Ukraine now. They are supporting Ukraine and plan to continue that with the recovery and proper democratic governance, open governance, transparency, accountability of the local authorities. This is very important, the process of reconstruction. The country in general, not just individual communities. So not to trespass on Yitzhak Adil, I would like to say in closing that the Council of Europe will continue with the support to Ukraine during this active phase of warfare, and after that, as long as it will be necessary. And in addition to implementation of projects in the action plan, as Marie said, Mr. Marie said, we have the compensation for the damaged property and homes, first of all, and we are also expecting membership for Ukraine in the Development Bank for the Council of Europe. The two areas in addition to implementation of the projects, they are very important, extremely important for reconstruction and rebuilding of the country. We're looking forward to cooperation with the government, the Secretariat of Ministers, and the local self-governance bodies without any doubt. So in that process, thank you very much for your attention, and I hope that you have a fruitful conference today, and we will be expecting continuation of cooperation in the future. Thank you very much for your attention. Thank you very much. Olena, that is a formidable set of tasks, and we all have the agenda. I believe let's concentrate on the three objectives today, and the first panel discussion dedicated to innovative approaches. Let's start with the young ones, and for a reason, even in Slavuta, they had this youth government. The youth is now riding supreme, and local governments have no future without that, of course. And then we'll switch to creation of public spaces and the solemn award ceremony. So Lady Sidorenko Orzhitsa, a member of AUC Poltava region, you are here to moderate. That's the most important part of our success, part and parcel. Dr. Vitaly was very much in touch, and Mr. Yarema was referring to it. And I would like to thank the colleagues who reported at the opening Good afternoon, Оржиця, Mayor Olena Sidorenko, and innovative approaches to engagement of youth for sustainable recovery. And let's be frank here, any kind of community can develop only if there is some youth, some young people are staying there. So this is practically for all of them, not just rural, but also urban, with a high rate of unemployment, migration, especially people who are trying to go abroad. They could not hear or would not listen, and we can see that our young people who used to want everything in advance now are driving such big revolutionary changes. It would be right for us to invite Marina Potapenko to speak. Popatenko, sorry. Popatenko is the name, Deputy Minister for Youth and Sports, to give us the outline of our future development. Sorry for this. Let me continue saying, when Alexander said that youth was our everything, I think it is not a joke, it's just true. We had 1/3 of the population as of 24th of February last year. I would not make any mistake if I venture to say that after the Victor will win, we will, after the security issues, look into the migration process, bringing the young people back to Ukraine. And every municipality, however big or however small, in size, they are all interested in future recovery, economic development, and every single leader, community leader, should realize that we have this vested interest in the young people, demographic challenges, many other challenges that we will fortunately, unfortunately, have to face, and are facing already at home in our own communities. When we experienced the 24th of February, among other things, we had that pleasant surprise. At the ministry, I was surprised. I was actually excited to discover the response from the young people, because the number of NGOs and the number of new initiatives started by young people directly, the responsibility, the workload, and answering the calls and responding to the challenges. 100,000, the figure is much higher. Young people who are in the armed forces. I cannot provide you with any exact figures, understandably, but it's a huge number, and we are paying with their lives for this opportunity to develop our country in the future. Every person one of two, more than 43% is some kind of volunteer. We're talking about the youth. For all the population, we can see the same kind of figure. According to the latest research for the migration intentions and willingness to join the recovery process for the young people, this is very interesting and can change these dynamics, changing every day depending on many factors. And we can actually do that, and we can invest in many young people in our circumstances for development of youth policy, basic for recovery of every single community, because having recovered oneself, any person can also provide for recovery of the whole country. That's our harmonious mental state and psychological status. and other things that we are trying to learn about and to use. And more than 6% of young Ukrainians are living abroad would like to come back. That's the great demand, especially of students, different educational institutions in all the world, in all Europe. They would like to offer specific solutions for recovery, not just specific solutions for the country, but for their communities, respective communities. On the same survey, we can single out the young population. More than 76% want to come back to their actual homes, their communities. Mariupol should be reconstructed. Kherson, badly damaged, and other communities they had to leave. And now they want to come back and invest their competence, their professionalism, their potential. This is extremely important. And 72% of young people living in Ukraine would like to join the process of recovery. That means that young people would like to be involved in decision making. It's not just about talking, it's about practical instruments to make them part of this governance, the local governance. And through practical instruments, they can join planning for strategic recovery, and they can offer specific solutions. This is about a very important thing indeed, to apply the new approaches, innovative approaches at that. And in that respect, offline and online formats, speaking of them, I'm not trespassing the next panel, but we have to discuss the advisory boards attended by young people, very important venue for proactive youngsters who can form strategic visions for their communities, and they have it. They have to hear that and apply. It is quite innovative, and they can use innovative approaches to that. It is very important to provide the opportunity for Unite, to integrate and have restore their social connections, especially in the communities where they have lots of IDPs, people who moved to a different community. They have to resettle or restore their social links, and through those connections they can also resettle economically and contribute to economic development. So the spaces, the hubs, the venues, call it what you want, but this is a physical opportunity to come to some place and get their service. That are very different, that can be oriented at community, capacity building, psycho-emotional recovery, psychological counseling support, proper trainings, soft skills, or specific skills for livelihood, legal aid, specific competences, professional and otherwise, for quick resettlement. And such spaces can be created using different infrastructure. We should not reinvent the wheel. We have to open the doors for the existing structure of the existing structure. Gyms, educational spaces that can be converted or reoriented, and that works at the communities. If we apply such approaches, and when we discuss online formats, we think it obvious that this is part of innovative approaches for the young people in online. They form a lot of spaces, and those are helping them with the new projects, innovative projects, state-of-the-art project, and online format for young people. It is important to get access to information and opportunities for the communities, for Ukraine. We are now developing this big platform that is called e-Youth, Mode. That is about the register of all the centers for the young people and different organizations providing specific services. All of the opportunities for young people concerning informal education, the all the youth associations and different platforms that ministry helped to create, the volunteer platform is recognized with the European Corps of Solidarity, volunteer opportunities in abroad also. And also we, the association of the youth councils, so they will be providing their specific recovery projects or designs. It's a platform for the young people to receive their response, young Ukrainian in any part of the world, where they can go with a design for recovery regardless of the scale or the scope, national scope or local scope for that matter. And then we can provide all the opportunities for the communities to choose. And we have great examples. Recently, one of the projects helped us for the STEM education for system of education for girls. So the professional designers and architects developed new formats of designs for the railway station in Trostenets, total devastated in other places, for the leaders of the communities to discuss and present for public discussion, and also make decisions for proposals, specific proposals for the young people to be applied, to become applicable and implementable. This is about such bridges and the moods, intentions of young people. I would like to share also you. This is focus on the new innovative spaces for young people, for youngsters, uniting us, putting the country, pulling it together, and sharing our identity, which is different in different parts of the territory. This is with Nova UA related to the recovery of young people, for the new services, for the new links to become available, the new projects, innovative projects for their respective communities. That's all I wanted to say. Very quickly, very briefly, very densely, and in a very condensed way. I would like to say that we have plenty of examples of how young people can join the recovery process for the communities. Thank you very much, Marina. And we have this bridge leading to our next speaker. We have 5 to 6 minutes for every presenter. Ukraine is rich of talent. We're talking about communities of their own, achievements for youth engagement and decision making, and the recovery of their communities, hence the recovery of Ukraine. Our next speaker is Mayor Sergey. Sergey, yes, I'm with you. The floor is yours, please. Share experience of Ternopil and youth participation development of your community. Good afternoon, dear colleagues. Greetings from Ternopil, Alexander, and our colleagues and partners from the Council of Europe. Thank you for the opportunity to join this discussion. I think it is extremely important. And what the young people want, the best way to answer this question is to ask the youth itself. Young people, for 3 years now, we've had this surveys, polls for the young people for the well-being review, together with the UN fund, population fund. This is education, healthcare, this participation, political life, and information communication technology. And because of this opportunity, we can see the dynamics where we have to add to our support and we can see that we are successful in some parts, especially in education, healthcare. Ternopil is successful political life participation, public life and information communication technologies, which are available in our community and our municipality. And now, to understand the profile of our young people together with our universities, we had a survey that would put together a social profile of regular youngsters. So now for some years we've done that, and we had such opportunities with the focus groups, with the youth leaders for topical issues, usually tireless brainstorming and we have police, social services, international partners, and other stakeholders. And we have resources, and we can see that there are grants available. There's a competition, municipal competition, and the priority is given to those NGOs or civil society organizations, CSOs who have these priority and have the resource in terms of time and willingness to help the town and the youth. And I would like to say that starting from 2010, we've had this youth council, and this is the advisory consultative body for any kind of youth environment, youth life, and other decisions which are very important with Ternopil according to the youth adopted by the executive committee or the council for that matter only after the examination of the youth council. NGOs are represented there. Youth NGOs, they operate for a tenure of 2 years in one council, and there's this alternative shadow youth mayor working on practical every day, working with the mayor as one team, but representing the youth environment, the youth part, and we have this special program.
In order to promote the development of youth environment, we also support PLAST that helps raise young children in the spirit of patriotism and Christianity. We have several youth environment spaces in Ternopil. In 2020, Ternopil became youth capital of Ukraine, mostly because of a very good cooperation between the youth sector, youth organizations, and Ternopil municipality. So this secured us a victory in spite of the fact that 2020 was against the backdrop of coronavirus pandemics. Young people have always been moving force between various developments in the Ukrainian society throughout Ukraine's history. Same we saw during Maidan, and the young people were the first to in 2014 to take up their arms and defend their motherland. We have dozens of youth headquarters, tons of humanitarian assistance sorted and sent to the armed forces and those who needed it. And I would like to note that about 1,200 young residents of Ternopil were given official certificates of recognition for their volunteerism. With regard to the future, well, I'm confident that our future will certainly depend on how active young people are. Recent polls show that 90% of teens would like to contribute to the recovery of the nation. This is the potential that the nation should rely upon, all the more so that young people are proficient in foreign languages, are well versed in ICT, in modern technologies, have friends all over the world, and can therefore disseminate best practices not only in their communities but all over Ukraine in general. Ternopil City Hall and the municipality will certainly support engagement of young people in all spheres of public life. We are ready to work together, to cooperate with youth leaders, with young people, and Ukraine, I'm sure, will prevail over the Russia's evil, and we will help rebuild and transform Ukraine, making it a European nation. Thank you, Serhiy. We just heard from Serhiy how they can listen to the young people and how they support them financially. And what about Shatsky village? Bogdan Timoshuk over there will tell us about tools they use to engage youth and the role that young people play in their community. Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank and our international friends. I am Bogdan Timoshuk, Secretary of Village Council in Shatsk, and I am happy to present our community, in particular with regard to the innovative approaches we use to engage young people in the recovery of communities. Let me break down my contribution into three parts. First, a brief overview of our community. Then I will show a short motivational video. I'm fine with the timing, and we'll also demonstrate several slides to better illustrate how our young people are faring. Our territorial community is in northwestern part of Ukraine, bordering on Belarus and Poland. We have 62 kilometers long border with Belarus and fire with Poland. By the way, before the full-scale invasion, we had this Three Sisters monument, Ukraine, Belarus, and Poland. But Belarus is no longer our sister. Thank you for underscoring that. There are about 16,000 people living in the amalgamated community. 60% of our territory is a national park, 30 lakes we have, and 12 unique nature you won't find anywhere else in Ukraine. Dear colleagues, now let me show you a short motivational video that I hope will tell you more about the achievements of our young people in the community.
Дякую за увагу. Тому
Thanks for your attention. Brief comment. This video shows your unique nature in our Lake District. Our young ladies who motivated our local community to donate 150,000 hryvnias to buy a car for the army. Like in any community, probably young people in the community seek self-realization, self-fulfillment, and through this fundraising initiative, they also reinforce their coherence. When the girls called and asked for a part they could play, we told them, well, yes, there is one such need, a vehicle that would be handed over to the army. Well, the girls were a bit hesitant at the very beginning whether they would code, but they code just very well. And a couple of slides I have prepared for this presentation. This is our brand. And slide number 3. Oh, psycho-emotional relaxation. Well, distinguished colleagues, I am happy to see that symbols of Shatsky lakes and Svites are well known around. You will see in a couple of slides still why we prepared this deck was to show that apart from engagement, we're interested in providing relaxation opportunities for the younger people, and jointly with the volunteers, young people provided Children's Day activities, a party, and we of course invited children of IDPs that settled in our community, children of the members of the armed forces currently in the battlefield, and young people themselves propose this idea, and we help them implement it. This slide here shows this anti-drone gun, 20,000 hryvnias. A member of the youth council, herself a doctor of an army man, conveyed a request from her father, and they were they instantaneously responded. They did a fair, they baked some desserts, performed a concert, inviting professional performance, and managed to raise money to buy this gun. Another example, a community on the shores of Pisochny Lake, young people, including children, made a charity lottery and raised funds for yet another army vehicle, musical nights. This is movie and music coming together, and fundraising. I already mentioned that. Melniki, again, another village on the shores of Melniki, raised 120,000 hryvnias, acting all alone in this vehicle. This money bought is already in the east of the country. This is Easter arts classes, and they are charity fairs. Children themselves initiated this event, sold those
Також акція
little delicious desserts to raise money. Another activity, when it became colder, young people called us and told us, asked us to provide them with a room where they could make trench candles. We, of course, supported this idea and helped them produce several carloads of trench candles. And this is the last example about Shatsky community raising funds to buy dozens of vehicles, infrared devices, drones, and the anti-drone gun. We created a clear flowchart, take part in a lottery and contribute to fundraising. You make a donation and help Ukraine win using social networks and being very innovative. Young people sometimes even push us, local governments, to keep pace with the modernity, to listen to them, to heed their vision of the future development of the community, and after all, work in sync for our future victory. This short presentation of mine must have provided you an insight into how we went about implementing youth initiatives, and believe me, by acting so, they are giving shape to our future, and they already share their views of that future. So once again, I appreciate the opportunity to speak to you, and I, as a member of the Youth Council, because I am younger than 35, is ready to help youth develop in our community in every possible way. Thank you, Bogdan. You may have noted a motto in one of the slides: to reach your goal, you have to go. And that's exactly what they are doing in Shatsky community. Now, how Kirovohrad Oblast is about that is something that we will hear from Ms. Sidorenko from Novoarkhangelsk Village Council. Please share. Morning, let me share some info today on the innovative projects designed to engage young people in sustainable recovery that we have. Yes, can we please share the screen I've provided? My presentation. In modern world, young people require research that can contribute to the development of the entire society. Therefore, we have to look at engaging youth in business and social initiatives as priorities for sustainable development. With a view to implement these tasks, we need to use innovative approaches that would support engagement of the young people and the development of communities. We will look today at creating youth platforms for better dialogue with the civil society and the government. We are confident that this will help all the attendees identify the unique ways of engaging youth and finding solutions to important social issues. I would like to refer to success stories in our territorial community. A decision was made to engage many young people in social life and increase their activities. To this end, let me show you several examples of youth projects implemented in our community. The Invincible Ukraine was a photo project. It was successful through the use of Ukrainian folk costumes, professional photographers, and involving charity donations to support the armed forces. And by the way, the project involved both locals and IDPs living in the community. Members of the project worked on the project using costumes that are on display at the local community center. The project has had a positive impact on the young people. Their involvement in the project helped them learn more about the Ukrainian history and culture and develop their photography and design skills. All these skills and will help young people in their future lives, both personal and professional. Another example is the mural. This lady was part of the team making this mural. Young people are involved, involving students of Kyiv universities, local residents, and IDPs. Later on, the mural was supplemented with images of herons. This project was a successful example of cooperation between young people and communities, enhancing their feeling of belonging to their home country. Involving young people in the creation of this mural is a good example of an innovative approach to engaging young people in arts and to promote the image of their home country. Next slide, please. Yet another project was named ECHO Meetings at Sinyuha, initiated by 4 IDPs families from Kharkiv. It was about cleaning up the environment, bottles, packages, and sorting the waste. This was also based on the engagement of young people from different social groups in implementing local initiatives. The project helped raise awareness of the local residents on the importance of protecting the environment. Young people play a key role in changes in the community and shaping values, promoting natural environment. ECHO Meetings at Sinyuha is an example of how young people can help resolve urgent environmental issues at the local level. In addition to the above-mentioned projects, local officials started using messengers and internet platforms in order to help communicate with the young people. Wired and Telegram, for instance, help local officials communicate with the members of the community and disseminate information on new developments and events. Chatbots and messengers promote more effective communication with the residents. Based on the achievements of Novoarkhangelsk village community, we can say that engaging young people in sustainable development have been all active. Mural, like a meeting, and other examples I shown have demonstrate how important it is to engage youth in the community life. Young people have now become more active in charity activities or protecting the environment. The modern messaging tools such as Telegram help collect feedback. Apart from that, involving youth from different social works and enhances inclusiveness. Innovative approaches of the Council demonstrate the potential of local governments in supporting young people develop their leadership skills, leader skills. They also provide opportunities to young people become real leaders, enhance social cohesion, and promote sustainable development of the communities. Thank you for your attention. Thank you, Ludmila. We have now looked at the situation through the prism of local government. Now let's see what young people think about this interaction. Yuri Tereshchuk, head of group of young people from Ratnitska, Volhynia region. Please keep in mind the time you have. Yuri Tereshchuk, I am head of a youth hub, Ratne, Buratinska community, Volhynia. At different levels today, and even in smaller communities like ours, at the village level, we hear different information about youth policy, joint work with the young people, etc. But truth to tell, youth hubs and centers are often created in larger communities where the concentration of young people is naturally higher. Speaking of the countryside, backcountry, so to speak, we still have to admit that there are some issues with creating youth hubs and spaces, so to speak. But every cloud has its silver lining. In a community with fewer than 1,000 residents, we have a full-fledged youth center born out of cooperation between local government and civil society. Several years ago, young people who just were interested in sports created a fitness room but you may imagine how it looked like several years ago. Probably another slide will demonstrate you that. In spite of this appearance, the project became a success because many people responded to this offer, started going there for fitness, and young ladies interested in fitness, kids, and you would often hear that young people didn't have space where they can find something they're interested in and, of course, develop. After we discussed the matter with the village council of Baratin, a decision was made to activate cooperation with the young people. As a result of which we started doing bees to movie bees, master classes, table games, contests, and during every event we collected provided their feedback, focusing on their own initiatives, and there is bottom line, we decided to go on with creating such a youth hub where young people would find comfort. Part of the community center was indeed transformed into a youth hub. All the boys started taking down some of the old equipment. The village council will fund rewiring and installation of heating systems. A local farmer donated 40,000 hryvnias to replace windows and making a separate entrance to the youth hub. And our team was happy.
Будівельними матеріалами, які ми використовували для ремонту, а більше того, і найголовніше, що з різних куточків України, зі всієї країни до нас з'їхалося 30 людей, 30 молодих людей, волонтерів, які протягом тижня працювали в нас на локації, навчалися, знайомилися з нашою громадою безпосередньо. І це був дійсно дуже класний, хороший, позитивний тиждень, той, який проходив цей проєкт у нашому селі. Але також з ними працювали і молодь нашого села, і фінальні завершальні роботи абсолютно безкоштовно. Місцеві будівельники, місцеві спеціалісти допомогли нам, зробили це.
Local constructors, local experts completed this space. And in November 22, we had this solemn opening, unveiling. And it was basically about something that the youth did themselves, because that was very constructive, and they would discuss the activities, the prospective things for the space, and how to plan this work and how to arrange for it. And now we have this functioning, this youth space, which is full of life, is bursting with life, and there are many informal educational activities. Next slide, please. And for the younger generation, for children, we have dances, karate, 3 to 4 groups attended very actively. They love it. And also the screening sessions, and we can see the volunteers helping the armed forces of Ukraine. Another very important fact I would like to emphasize. Next slide, please. Well, that was the last. Sorry, time. That's your cue. That's your hint. So all this activity is has the council to the point of verification, and I am involved also. I would like to tell you with all honesty that in modern it can be created in any municipality. But there is a question to you, Marina. Well, when you bifurcation, when you have some other initiatives, would you support them? Yes, our local authorities, in fact, stimulate us, and they are actually driving us towards new solutions. From experience, we can coordinate and formulate the process in much detail. We have very close cooperation indeed, truly. And I'm very happy to report that because there are great results to boast of, to present. The youth space is one of them. But this is not the final point for us. We will not stop at that or stop there. You can be the first to implement the youth development program. Now, why not? Our next speaker for this panel discussion is Yaroslav Morozov, youth delegate at the Congress of Local and Regional Authorities for the Council of Europe. The floor is yours. Thank you very much for the introduction. It's great to participate in such an event. And for starters, let me explain the notion of a youth delegate, what this initiative is about. For the Congress of Local and Regional Authorities, it's from 18 to 30 young people active and convinced that democratic governance should run supreme. The Guarantee for Youth policy. What this mandate means is for 1 year, it provides young people the opportunity to participate in the Congress operation, participate in the sessions twice a year in Strasbourg. During such sessions, young people can make speeches at the plenary sessions, make interventions, participate in the discussions. And that's participation or engagement at the international arena, hand in hand with the 46 countries and their delegates, their representatives. And myself, as a youth delegate, see as my mission distribution of youth innovative practices for youth. And let me introduce exchanges to internships. This is an innovative example of youth engagement for the self-governance and public administration sector. This program has been implemented by the American Councils for International Education, and this is about exchange for young people responsible and gifted, willing to make the difference, to have internships at all the governance levels abroad. What this internship brings about is experience with public administration, local governance, see the mechanisms from inside, to see it and to be able to use it in the future. And thirdly, to get this experience for social initiatives and for community-owned projects. Well, different types of support from the American councils. This is also consulting, and this is cooperation with the local self-governance bodies. And they engage mostly the Ukrainian ministries, land ministries, and now we have internships in Ternopil, Ivano-Frankivsk, Lviv, city councils where people are gaining this experience. So our next type of support is for international experience trainings for professional competencies, project management, financial literacy, public presentations, and so forth. And now another type is grants for interns for social initiatives for the sake of their own communities and where they are members. And some implemented initiatives, number one, English to doctors, is for medical doctors from different parts of Ukraine to learn more English, which is very topical for today. And also, I would like to give you two more examples to the left. So this is had to go project, and this is for IDPs had to leave psychological and social counseling. And to the right, this project first aid workshop was implemented in Lviv. After the full-scale invasion started, the program had to reorient, and they provided grants for humanitarian projects, humanitarian assistance to the internally displaced in cooperation with the public administration bodies. Summarizing, I would like to say that I express this kind of wish, a very sincere one, for the programs like this one to reach a new national level, this time for the young people in municipalities, villages, all sorts of communities to get some public sector experience to use in their professional careers, which is very important, and also or through cooperation be knowledgeable of those mechanisms within their own communities. And this program should reach, as I said, the national level for the great body of young people to gain this invaluable experience. Thank you very much for your attention. Yes, please. Unfortunately, the input is too weak to be utilized for simultaneous interpretation. Yes, at the legislative regulatory level, we have youth councils, youth spaces, but participation in the decision-making process when they can participate directly. This is inclusiveness of the process for the local bodies. This is very topical when they take into account the opinion of young people immediately and directly. I would like to say that approaches of the Council of Europe are one of the most instructive and exciting, the practical toolkits. I was taking note the practical tools which might be of interest and used for any community, in my book. Not nominal participation in the Youth Council, but using them as a practical decision-making instruments. Great examples, Mariupol, the Youth Council member is also a member of the Executive Committee, so from advisory board. She's 19. She's 19. She is an adult, a young adult, but we are young people till we turn 34. That's the situation according to our legislation and regulation for the matter. But that is a practical implication. So practical hearings at the city council, like the parliamentary sessions, nobody prevents you from doing that. And we said that already, that we have to just to ask. The colleague said, suggested practical skills through internship. The mentor, it's bilateral cooperation. First for the interns and then for the ones who would like to be accepted by the councils as their associates. And this is about the practical tools and taking into account their respective opportunities. They can do that. Thank you, Marina. And another question, or what was it? A comment. Yana Derkach, Poltava. I wanted to say about this optional provision. For them to become part of the executive committee, I had this proposal for the resolution adopted at the session in March last year. Poltava was one of them, the amendments to the rules of procedure to that effect, and to become a member. I think it says to follow, and very soon. That's the Congress session. That was the proposal from the youngsters themselves. Fast deal, Youth Council, they would like to explain why they want and they need their voice to be heard. We have a pre-recorded message to that effect. I think that we have to engage young people in decision-making at all levels, because at all times young people would be considered as a progressive part of any society, spearheading development. It's important to listen to everyone, know their opinion. They are the drivers of the progress, a very important social group, a very numerous one. And for decision making, it is important because it is important to know their needs, what interests them, and to satisfy those needs, because they have to raise their own needs. This is about decision making, about helping the authorities. Young people constitute our future. And that is true. In Ukraine, we have a lot of practice. We have seen different practices. This is decision-making, this is motivation, support of young people. We should not prove to anyone anymore that the war in the East and the South of Ukraine is the war for the future of Ukraine. And young people are our future. The armed forces of Ukraine are protecting and defending our young people. We will rise from ashes, because young people are at the front line and in the rear. So this is this wave of awareness that is initiated by our young people, actively joining any statecraft processes, at the same time will wash away the sediments, the toxic sediments, and we will try to actually bow to young people's creativity, capacity. Thank you very much for the attention, and we turn the floor to our colleagues for the second panel discussion. Thank you very much indeed. Good afternoon, Olga Tetsur, Secretary of Zelenodolsk City Council. It's a pleasure and an honor. We'll discuss fostering civic space for enhanced public deliberations and non-discriminatory approaches at the local level. I would like to quote Mr. Mori, who also spoke on the 22nd of April at our forum. He said that it was impossible to build up a democracy without powerful local democracy foundation. So it is very important to support active society, and Ukraine surprised all the world with its sustainability and resilience. I would like to support Marina. We should not waste this potential after the war. The war will, of course, continue to some point and then conclude in some way, but we have to always support young people. This is part and parcel of our mission for the local governments and small and big communities. So let's turn the floor to Kyiv. Kyiv is our capital in all imaginable senses. For development of public spaces also, we have plenty of areas, narrow hubs and narrow functionality hubs, and also functional subs. So Marina Hodin, Deputy Head of Kyiv City Administration. Yes. Good afternoon. I have no presentation. Unfortunately, it's a bit offhanded, but on the 20th, we had the forum. I would like to thank Olena Litvinenko if she's still with us, and Monsieur Mori for joining us. That was the urban forum 300 spaces we have. We understand that they are all functional. In Kyiv alone, we have 100 of them. all sorts of spaces created and funded by the civil society and the local authorities. Let me dwell on the ones arranged for and by Kiev and the assistance coming from the Council of Europe, because we are discussing practical cases. And I think what we've done, we are ready to pass on to recommend to the communities and share the ownership. We started in 2014 with the Council of Europe. Participation was a new word. We went to Poland, to Warsaw, to Germany, and then we started with the Council of Europe taking stock of what we could do. Not all the citizens, all the members of communities understand the hearings, the General Assembly petitions, and other ways to communicate with the authorities, to influence them. Even the councillors, especially the new fish, would not always appreciate these systems and understand them. So our idea was to explain it to the community and for the authority to understand that community is a natural collaborator. We had that case, that's where we started, to public civil sector. We had a retreat for 2 days that was before the COVID pandemic and the war, full-scale invasion to be exact. And we're trying to come to terms, but we're discussing the same thing, but in different discourses. So we decided to create these civic hubs. It's not just a place with Wi-Fi, furniture, fixings of rooms. It's free of charge online for any NGO to find the time of their convenience, hold their events and communicate with the authorities to understand what it is about. The first hub we opened in 2020, mind you. Now we have 3 hubs that are called hubs, and you can look it up or Google it up, and there will be a page about every hub, the capacity, the number of rooms, the booking arrangements. The 3rd hub, as soon as the Russians fell back from Kiev, that was last summer, we opened the first one, and when we started working, we realized that it wasn't about communication. It wasn't about the mechanism. COVID made it possible to use them for the assistance to the people. The war started, those were the centers for volunteers to operate, people helping the armed forces, and then counseling for the IDPs, then for the people who lost their boats. And then it was actually filled with the new contents, new senses, different from what it designed before the war, and the challenges of the COVID pandemic and the war changed 100%. Now we have almost 4 million people and 260,000 IDPs, among them residing in Kiev. 3 hubs are not enough. This year we'll create another 2. And our goal is to create in every district for communication to such hubs. In addition to that, we decided that was the principal point. All the NGOs, without exception, this is true, they say we have no capacity, we have no place to meet and give us something to lease or lease something for us, rent something. This is the big thing. When we have 15,000 NGOs, we cannot provide them all with the communal property or available governmental premises. This is about local bodies. Anybody any entity, without inviting with all the air defense alerts, with the security considerations, without inviting them. This is a good place with all the technical amenities. And there are also hubs, educational, sports, veterans hubs created by NGOs. And we have these ideas that have been voted for in favor, of course, for the military hubs to be created. This is for resettlement of our defenders. And we can see that there are veteran hubs, but local self-governance is, of course, responsible for our defenders, and no issue can be closed. This is about administrative compliance, some interaction among different local governance bodies, and that is up to the local governments for responsibility to be implemented. We created the military hubs for them. Our defenders working there already in Kyiv, ex-combatants who are not coming back because they are disabled in some degree by this war. We have all the legal procedures. We are repairing the premises to arrange the social, educational, healthcare spheres, administrative services, business development, sports, all the principal service providers for our defenders, our ex-combatants. This is not just about engaging and talking. The more opportunities the South community has to engage and get information, the less disinformation or misinformation will have. This amount of rubbish on Telegram channels. If you fail to communicate, it makes things worse. It is impossible or difficult to appreciate. This is not bad construction of a road, of a school, because you can see the feedback you see. We have 400 organizations, our stable partners who signed agreements with us. There's serious big organizations available in the city of Kyiv. And we can say that the association AUC can use, they're welcome to use our techniques. Perhaps you can pick something up for you use. And this project we started with the Council of Europe a long time ago. This is the result that we have presently. This is our cooperation that we had with the Council of Europe office. Thank you. Are there any questions to representatives of the city of Kyiv? Well, the diversity is exciting and unbelievably appealing. We've done this for some years now, and all those in smaller communities, not just smaller communities, so those who would like to learn from this experience, come to Kyiv. You're all invited, by the way. Yes, we will turn the floor to you, by all means. For continuation of this discussion, Boris Karpos, Volhynia region, Novovolynsk mayor, on the presentation, please. Can you put it up? So let me discuss the background of war. We have great success stories. They continue and repeat, but let me discuss them still and again. In fact, we never planned sharing this kind of experience because none of us ran or has run for any elections for the mayors for the warfare time. So all the activities described here were not planned, originally designed for the purpose of sharing this way. Anyway, so From the very beginning, we were just dealing with the adrenaline and cortisol, drinking water and trying to get some sleep, grab some sleep. And the first thing that we had from the 24th of February, and the principal task was not to contain people. And we really decided to channel that in energy into different projects. 55,000, 60,000, 20 kilometers away from Poland. This is the northern part of Volyn. We have a lot of people from Volyn. Our country is very active. It's usual view that monopolizes everything. Not this time, luckily. And the 24/7 IDP center, it's really 24/7. It's not just for the namesake, and integration, children, clothing, stock, and we started on the 24th, that same day, in the evening, and when we were passing Volodymyr Volynski, they would stay with us, and entering Volodymyr Volynski, they would have there's signs pointing to us and giving the numbers, and we would call every day, all the time. First, business left Kyiv.
І в нас 26 числа почав працювати логістичний центр Novolinsk Help.
And we launched Novolinsk Help on the 26th. Of course, we knew that law enforcement would one day start asking about humanitarian aid, but we had done that deliberately. A month later, I saw where humanitarian assistance was heading via Novovolinsk. And those people, well, they self-organized. There were no representatives of ours. This was... there was some sort of a mistake. Could we remove this?
Шатдаун зараз буде. Добре, значить,
Fine, okay.
створено муніципальний, я не знаю, що ми там створили.
Municipal register of IDPs.
Окей, дивіться. Це так.
Okay, now
Добре, ця історія.
let it stay.
Ми створили реєстр.
Indeed, we created an IDP register, municipal register, of course.
Особистих даних.
There arose the issue of personal data, and we then remedied the situation. Anyway, when the law on the status of IDPs took effect and it allowed their registration, we renewed this type of activity, snaps, and hands had their hands full with registration, working 24/7. So currently we have about 6,500 IDPs and with the status, and they'll probably stay. There's Novovolinsk SOS chatbot that was created, dedicated Facebook page, and we created a special IDP support platform. that is now uniting everyone supporting IDPs, civil society, businesses, etc. This is clear. You've already seen soup kitchens we opened, and two more then joined them later. Integration, housing, employment, business relocation. About 60% of businesses that relocated to Volyn are now in our community. And this is in spite of the fact that we were not amongst the priority oblasts for business relocation. And this was, we had some new skills who explain us what we should and shouldn't do with IDPs. I hired an advisor, and they were very helpful. We created all those spaces and hubs for children, for kids, curricular, extracurricular, anything else? And no, this is the end of the slides. Representatives of IDPs, they integrated, everywhere, working at our executive committee in this IDP platform is going to take the shape of a dedicated NGO citywide. Initially, we did what in other times NGOs were supposed to do, but our institutional capacity was then better. Now we are releasing our hold on these. It's going, and then to this end we are initiating creation of an NGO to give back all we assumed initially. Why I'm telling you this? Because Novovolynsk is, virtually one big public space. Any initiative related to the war or to other activities was initially process, so to speak, at the city council, and currently many entities live outside of the council, and we are happy to support this evolution. We are thinking of building an agglomeration with the adjacent cities, so all these mechanisms stimulating the rise of NGOs are quite active. I understand that my contribution may have been a little bit hectic, but I am ready to. The dialogue between IDPs, local residents, and government is something that need to be preserved, because when the government can hear its people, it's important. Now, from Volyn all the way to Poltava, Oksana Derkach, local councilor, city councilor. Good afternoon. That's right. I'm a representative of Poltava territorial community. In my presentation, I'll tell you about a project we did. This is called Poltava City Orchard Garden. By the way, local councillors used power tools in order to clear up the space where the space was later created. The war is going on, global challenges, in particular related to food security, haven't gone anywhere. For us, a tool that looked promising to build cohesion was this project, the cohesion around some shared values. Amongst other things, this project here is a very practical meaning because it helps supply greens, vegetables to the IDPs. In addition, it also builds awareness, environmental awareness of both adults and young people. You may have heard about Victory Gardens or Victory Initiative. So we're part of this initiative. We currently have 60,000 IDPs living in Poltava, residing in Poltava, and 1,200 of them receive full meals supplied to them at no charge. They are people that have nowhere to go because their homes were destroyed by the Russian invaders. There are many elderly citizens over 65s, and of course the city authorities, the municipality committed itself to providing meals to those people, and this project is a source of raws that are used to cook these meals. So we started from, like I say, clearing up the space. It used to be abandoned greenhouses within the enterprise that belonged to the municipality. Before, everyone was invited. We did bees, not raising bees, but clearing and building bees. And we were happy to see entire families, their kids included, coming to help during these beads. At this stage, at the first phase, UNDP Innovative Development Lab supported. After the first successes were scored, we decided to scale up, and Urban Development Institute, within the framework of this Victory Gardens, initiated signing of a memorandum of understanding between City Council and Government Support Reform Project, financed by the Government of Canada. At this stage, we procured 200 square meters greenhouse that can function year-round. Open garden beds were also added, and it's dill, parsnip, radish, various greens are now supplied to local schools, and this indeed gives them a lot of positive emotions, apart from making their meals more diverse. We are planning to scale up even more, all the more so that the area, the acreage is quite big, over a hectare. It is planned to build a public space affiliated with this initiative, where public events can be held with a podium where public performances can be given. Here you can see the target audience involved in the implementation of this project. Kids, NGOs, educationists. So this mix of participants helps build cohesion in the community. We once established that implementation of projects like that brings people together, generates their feeling of belonging, of ownership in things going on in the city, and desire to contribute to finding solutions to the issues that city may be facing. Therefore, we are planning to go on, grow different agricultural products and support that with awareness campaigns. Poltava municipality has an area development plan, but if there are people who could volunteer their help, we'd be happy to invite them. Is this a communal enterprise, municipal enterprise, right? Yes, thank you. So it's not a cooperative. Probably SMEs support economic sustainability and regional development. Thank you. With this, over to Vinnytsia City Mayor Serhiy Morgunov. Dear participants of the marathon, dear colleagues, it is important that today we are talking about local communities and their contribution to open government, involvement of our citizens in decision-making. COE action plan for Ukraine is called Resilience, Recovery and Reconstruction. The words reflect the tracks that the entire nation is moving along. We need to join forces. We need to be able to tap all available resources, involve the intellectual potential of everyone. This will be the basis for further reconstruction and recovery of our country. I'll bring you several examples of how Vinnytsia has been implementing a number of projects engaging the residents of the community. Virtually everyone can volunteer. First of all, we declared our openness and commitment to wide communication, both in the documents and practically. This is part of Vinnytsia territorial community strategy ending in 2030. The strategy of partnership between Vinnytsia City Council and civil society, action plan to implement OGP initiative in 21 through 23. Apart from that, we created a platform to support communication with active members of the community. We have a hub which is called the City of Meanings or Senses. Over 1,500 activities have been held on the premises of this hub. Over 50 activities held this year were wholly conceived of and implemented by the community. By the way, public hearings and discussions, workshops, conferences, fora are also held here. Since 2012, it's been supporting financially the institutes of civil society. In other words, the City Council gives grants to NGOs that they use to implement their projects. All in, we have already financed the implementation of 128 different concepts. We have a special competition of public initiatives. We we have implemented 78 public projects. During the first year of the war, we put it on hold, but this year resumed and 12 projects are in the pipeline. This coming summer, the new phase is started. By the way, members of the community are involved in the proceedings of expert groups. In other words, there's a similar project, school project competition that helps bring closer local governments to students of schools. By the way, Vinnytsia residents have long been afforded the opportunity to communicate with the government via the mechanisms of petitions. Once a petition gathered enough votes, we will mandatorily consider it. Vinnytsia also have a special psychosocial support center for young children with psychosocial needs. Also, we have a veteran space in Vinnytsia where people can come for physical rehabilitation services or counseling to be provided by professional psychologists. We also have a program supporting defenders of Ukraine, families of those who are missing in action or killed in action. Amongst other instruments that local residents can use to actively communicate with the government is various services, Vinnytsia GeoPortal that allows an opportunity to leave their comments. In Vinnytsia, we value communication at various levels, and there is not a single doubt that through joint effort we'll be able to support people and move towards victory. Glory to Ukraine. Dear friends, may I take just a minute? I am a mayor of Slavuta. I've been one for 4 years now, and what inspires me is young people. How can we educate adults? Only through influencing children. If someone litters the surroundings, you have to educate kids how important it is not to do. And our children are, well, grown-ups indeed. Look at them. They live in shelters. They are affected by the war, and they are full-fledged participants of the process. They stimulate, they help us wage this war, and the world may not be aware of this. If our European friends are listening to us, let me say that we need professional skills to provide psychological support to our residents. By the way, yes, I'm sorry, but this is indeed a very important air raid. And what she does, she is startled, but kids calm her down and take her to the shelter. Can you imagine that? Thank you very much. Thank you. Yeah, with this we have to end this panel, and if there are any questions pending, we'd be happy to air them out a little bit later.
Ми переходимо до наступної панелі.
With this, we move over to our next panel, and I would like to say thank you to Vasil. We heard what they're doing at Slavuta, how this should be done, and with this, we, like I say, move over to something we have long been waiting for. This is the time when we will recognize winners in the competition of best practices. That's the best practices generated by the Ukrainian communities last year when the full-scale invasion was started. Over 200 applications were made, 3 winners, and Vitaly Klitschko, mayor of Kyiv, head of the Association of Ukrainian Cities, will hand over the awards. I will announce the winners, and yes, I do hope that after all the winners have been given their awards, I'll ask for the floor to address our other colleagues joining us online. We are given awards to communities, not individuals, not governments. E-government was the first nomination, and the winner is Community of Akhtirka, Sumy region. Would you please come to the podium?
Наступним в електронному урядуванні буде переможець.
Next winner in that same nomination is Роздільне community. By the way, Akhtirka created Akhtirka Dia, and Роздільне created Роздільне Digital, like Kyiv Digital, where
Прошу до отримання нагороди Білгородку, Київської області.
Білгородка, Kyiv region.
Це електронне урядування. Це ті,
Same nomination, e-government, the guys who use their own smart city platforms and applications. Next nomination, another 3 communities. Let me remind you, it was Council of Europe deciding on the winners jointly with the ACU, Melitopol.
Номінація «Згуртованість» і Мелітополь показав своєю програмою саме
Unity and cohesion. Melitopol has shown us how they can come together and unite in the most difficult of circumstances.
В номінації «Згуртованість» так само
same nomination. Khmelnytsky is another winner. They created a volunteer-based postal service that went about delivering mail humanitarian aid, food to where official providers couldn't get to. Odessans have also demonstrated outstanding unity, and let me invite the representative of Odessa to come over and get the award. They did a unique project, Odessa Donor, and this is the lady who led the project. Next nomination, youth engagement. We've been discussing that extensively during today's event, and Baratin community representative is coming to get the award. You told us about what you did there. Кіровоград область, Новоархангельськ.
Голову Новоархангельська отримати відзнаку.
Mayor of Новоархангельськ is coming to
Фотопроект
get the award for their achievements. Shatsk,
можна. Отримайте, будь ласка, свою нагороду.
if you please come over here,
Разом волонтерити, збирати
your award to recognize what you have learned.
І у нас є гран-прі.
And there's also a
Більше то
Grand Prix
ця громада подавала свої проекти, і тому вирішили
that
відзначити Нововолинськ.
community replied for a number
Тут присутні
of nominations. We have the honor of having Novovolinsk mayor, who is receiving the Grand Prix in Best Practices competition.
Дякую дуже, Віталій Володимировичу. Прошу.
Thank you.
А вам дають.
Vitaly Klitschko,
Прошу
please.
Володимировича.
The floor is yours, sir.
України.
Head of ACU and head of Kiev community. First of all, let me say how happy I am to be seeing all of you. Well, I may sound kind of trivial, but I will still say that self-government in the final analysis is the foundation of a nation. Here is the foundation of our resistance, of our unity, foundation of us being able to not only face but find solutions to the challenges our communities. This is why it's so important to preserve self-government. We understand that the situation is not orthodox by any measure. Martial law, centralization is strong, but self-government should stay. It should draw its spirit from the local initiatives, service delivery last went, organization of heating stations, provision of other services, mobilization of volunteers that became a strong shoulder given to our armed forces when the logistical chains were affected. Territorial defense. It is not incidental that Russians were chasing mayors of Ukraine.
Громади – це є лідери суспільної думки. Це ті люди, які приймають рішення, які мають великий авторитет в громаді. Можете уявити, я багато разів про це казав, ще раз повторю. 35 мерів.
I have said this many times before. 35 mayors abducted, kidnapped over this period. 5 mayors before the time, community leaders, we do not know about their whereabouts. They can be abducted, killed, imprisoned. The mayor of Hostomel, when he brought medical assistance, medication to the people, he was killed by the Russian troopers. And we have demonstrated our capacity, our capability. And what is important after all those years of decentralization, that every dweller of a community feels the engagement for decision-making, because they can feel that it depends on them, their position, a lot actual defense, for the resistance, for the readiness, for the community, for the issues of all sorts. And it is extremely important for this to stay. People understand that everyone matters for the future of their community, their town, their village, whatever the size. And this is extremely important. There are many people here who have dedicated their lives, and some of them were born in the new reinstituted independent Ukraine. In the Soviet times, if some of us remember, there was no responsibility. Nobody was responsible. It was total irresponsibility. No specific people, and that was something belonging to everyone and to no one. Hence, now this sense of ownership, this interest taken by the people, their influence should be supported in many respects, because every single member of the community should understand, should realize no one can do that for them. They are the ones, they are the called and the chosen. Oksana Prodan said 200 applications from all parts of Ukraine, and that includes the regions with the hostilities ongoing still, and open governance that I have just discussed. This is not just words, this is real action, you know, and that provides for transparency, accountability, and engagement. Engagement for every single member of the community. And we all realize now that we are all responsible also for the service provision. The communities expect problem solving with the heating, water supply, power supply, and medical services. Everything is within our responsibility. It is a grave responsibility, and regardless of all the challenges, we have to do everything possible for the people to feel. It's an important feeling that you are not forgotten. Somebody is minding this business somewhere, and this is a great source of strength for the future of Ukraine. Why the future? Simply because of governance, I would like to remind you, is a foundation for democracy in any state, civilized state. It is extremely important never to lose this focus. We understand the martial law, the centers of gravity, the military administrations, but it is important to preserve our self-governance, and this is a platform for our future, you know. And it is very good that we have celebrated our winners, 10 communities, a number, just 10, I would say, but we can nominate a lot more. And let's do everything possible to arrange for this competition every year and to see what people have to share and are proud of. And in fact, the capital, we have something to be proud of. But many things we borrowed. We looked into the best practice, adjusting them to our situation, our circumstances, and the new reality. And there are many areas where this is operational, even with the borrowing, we were not hiding with that. We were safe and secure capital. Even our Israeli colleagues would come to us and see how advanced we were in this development of service. We have this unique creative view, and there is this opportunity, excellent opportunity to develop in many areas. And I'm convinced that the success story is
вкрай важливо.
Extremely important.
Кожного з нас
Success of every one of us, of every single person,
успіх
of
країни,
every
успішність
community contributes to the success of the country. But success of our country,
те, чого
the
чекають
best is the best response. That's what the partners are expecting from us, helping our success. Our success is the best response and to our enemy, the Russian Federation. We have to be successful, strong, and effective. And the foundation, let me emphasize it again, foundation of this success is local governance. By the way, some very important points. Some people try to do it from top down. This is not right, I can tell you. So governance and democracy come from the bottom, always. So all those attempts to talk at us, explain how to do that, you know best your communities, your challenges, you can see what people have as concerns. So for somebody at the top, I mean the high offices, it is a big mistake to instruct people, to lecture people. And you are the best position to know. You are the ones. It should be from bottom to top, not from top to bottom. And every one of you understands, I'm sure. People trying to tell us to impose self-governance instead of fostering it. And now we have this partnership initiative, open governance, and there we have three important cities, Khmelnytskyi, Vinnytsia, and Ternopil in Ukraine. For the first time, got this third OGP award. You can the third place we won. Who can show this to us? We have to bring it to Ukraine to showcase, to demonstrate as another way of motivating people, inspiring them, and making it great with the international awards and now openness cooperation. We can learn from their positive experience, exchange it, implement it, and what is important, most important, we're helping each other. Why? In plain language, I can tell you, as a former athlete of the boxer, these fingers are strong, but when they are in a fist, yes, that's right, when they form a fist, it makes it much more powerful. So that's why we have to exchange the best practices, and learn from each other. So in this togetherness, we can all become stronger. So we are always happy to share this information, provide this information, share positive experience, and warn people to issue a signal of caution so that people do not repeat any mistakes and to go fall into jeopardy. So we will make Ukraine successful. And thank you for joining us. Thank you for the effective participation. And we will do everything possible and impossible that matter to end this war and start rebuilding, recovering our country that has all the chances to become the most successful European family member. And this is our principal mission. European living standards, European conditions, services should be European, and that's us. We are the ones. We are the best positioned, and it's our duty to make Ukraine a truly European state. That everything is going to go right, and together we will stand strong and hold the line. Thanks. Thank you.
Дуже дякую, Віталію Володимировичу.
Thank you, Mayor.
Заключне слово.
And now I would like to turn the floor to Marita Morans, Head of Cooperation Activities Unit from the Congress Secretariat.
Hello, do you hear me? Greetings from Strasbourg, from Council of Europe headquarters. It's not easy to come after all these examples that you have presented, all the good initiatives that were presented, and after Mayor Klitschko to conclude this important event that we have organized jointly with the AUC as part of this Open Gov Week. So thank you very much for the floor. I would like to congratulate the municipality of Novovolinsk for being awarded with a Grand Prix Breakthrough of the Year, and all other awarded municipalities, as well as the participants in the meeting. We Congress, we are working with you now for a long time. And once again, I was very happy to witness how local authorities demonstrated such a high commitment to ensure full engagement of all local residents in political, social, and cultural life, with a very particular focus on youth. We're impressed to see the variety of good practices that were implemented despite the dire consequences of the war, protecting residents' rights, ensuring the means for participation, the opportunity and support to participate in decision-making, influencing decisions for sure, but also very importantly, contributing with activities to building a better society. This is, I think, all the more important in the times that you are living. And you show that there is a lot to learn from the examples within your country. Sometimes people think that we need to have international exchanges and learn from others. But I think you are proving with this work that you can learn from your peers. And I would like in this regard to congratulate once more the Association of Ukrainian Cities for making these exchanges possible and for promoting so vividly open government. As Mayor Klitschko said just before, these are not just words, only words, but it's a lot of work. It's a strong engagement of local reformers for better services to all residents. We at the Congress, and Mathieu Maury highlighted in his opening speech, we commend your engagement in advancing good governance, in strengthening local government, advancing towards stronger decentralization, and we are working with you also in other areas. We are very happy that you have embarked on this open government path so determinedly, and that we have three local governments from Ukraine that are part of the Open Local program. We are convinced that the manifold achievements that the AUC is promoting jointly with local authorities will contribute and has contributed and will still contribute to the resistance of Ukraine, and more importantly, to the success of Ukraine's transformation and recovery on the path to the European integration. We have together set up the platform of national local dialogue. State Secretary Yarema is with us. The cooperation is very, very open And this was a breakthrough also in terms of relations between the central and local level. And we are not working here top down, we are working bottom up, as Mayor Klitschko also reminded us. So you are working bottom up in your local authorities. The local authorities with the association are working bottom up with the central level. And this is what is promoted in the European Charter of Local Self-Government too. We have signed this tripartite agreement with the Open Government Partnership, AUC, and the Congress, and we will in the future continue to give content, real content to this agreement. This year is a very important year, as the OGP will host its global summit in September in Estonia. We hope that we can bring Ukrainian mayors to this event, as we did back in 2018, 2020. We will also support you in applying to the call, this year's call local program, OGP local program. The call will be made also in September, I think, for deadline until the end of the year. And I'm sure that we can, together with the AUC and local authorities, support innovative forms of candidatures, either groupings or we have to work on it and see what innovations we can bring in. And I'm confident we can bring them in with Ukrainian partners. Also, in the meantime, we will also launch a call for local initiatives and will provide direct support, both financial and expert support to local authorities to implement a project that can be related to open government, deliberative democracy, where we have started working with you as well, or inclusiveness and the implementation of human rights at local level. So check your emails frequently. In the upcoming weeks, you will have some news about this call. And I would like to conclude with that we have had projects since 2014 with a team in Ukraine. I would like to especially thank Svetlana Grishenko, Oleg Muzyshenko, and Victoria Tereshenko. You all know Victoria. Victoria has been successful and will move to another project of the Council of Europe as a project officer. And I would like to use this opportunity, as she's in the room, I'm far away, to that everyone gives an applause to her. I would like to wish her a good future in her new job. We will miss Victoria for sure, but we are very happy for Victoria. So there will be some changes in the team, and I am sure we will find very good Ukrainian colleagues to support you in your work. So once more, thank you, everyone. Thank you to the team. Thank you to the interpreters, and our best greetings to Mayor Klitschko and Alexander Slobozhan, who are our big partners in this cooperation jointly with the members of the delegation of Ukraine to the Congress. Thank you once more.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your words, for your support.
In person.
Thank you. Ми дякуємо дуже, дякуємо всім учасникам, дякуємо.
So we would like to thank all the participants, the Congress of Local and Regional Authorities of the Council of Europe, Office of the Council of Europe in Kyiv and Ukraine, and all the representatives of local communities who attended this marathon, applying the best practices, implementing, thinking them up. inventing them whenever necessary. And the best practices will be celebrated, I'm sure. The victorious year with the best practices, so that the next time, after the victorious year, we can celebrate also within all the people safe and healthy, all the participants here. But you have to apply to win. You know, don't to win a lottery, you have to buy a ticket. Don't forget about that. So we are looking forward to our joint victory. Thanks to everyone. Glory to Ukraine. I have a proposal. Let's make a family picture here, just as a remembrance, a great remembrance of this day. Let's form